This is Reddit's top 3 most wholesome stories. Nobody can make it to the end of the video without crying. What's your love story?
We were in the same second grade class, and he had a massive 8-year-old crush on me. He wrote me a note professing his love for me and slipped it under my school box. Another student noticed, gave the note to the teacher, which she proceeded to read out loud and mortified him. 2 years later, in 4th grade, his family moved across the country for his mom's job. Fast forward 8 years, we were 16, he adds me on Facebook and starts messaging me, asking me if I remember him. I had no recollection. He tells me all these stories about us when we were in 2nd grade, and I was totally creeped out. I checked my yearbook, and he did exist, but it didn't jog my memory at all. We kept chatting, and he mentioned that his extended family still lived in my home state, and he came up to visit frequently, suggesting that next time he was in town, we should get together. We did just that, and from then on, we were in a relationship. He lived 1,000 miles from me. We dated for 5.5 years at this distance. We flew to see one another about every 3 months, all those years. I then moved closer to him when I went to graduate school. We moved in together a year later. Upon graduating with my master's, we moved back to our home state. His family had recently moved back as well. Last fall, we got engaged, and we were married this summer. Oh, and about 2 years into our relationship, my mom found the note in a scrapbook that he had written me in 2nd grade. It was displayed at our wedding. This is the way my husband tells the story. Some classmates were asking him if he liked me and kind of teasing him about it. I was nearby and listening. He said he didn't like me because he was embarrassed. Later, he regretted saying that and decided to confess his true feelings through this note. It says, "Dear my name, I was too embarrassed to tell you, but I do like you," in non-8-year-old English. I was too embarrassed to tell you, but I do like you. The back says, "To, my name from his name. I hope we stay together for the rest of our days."
Tattoo artists of Reddit, what is the most wholesome story behind a tattoo you did?
I'm not a tattoo artist, but I asked the tattoo artist woman doing a time-intensive piece on me what her most unusual experience had been, and her answer was really interesting and sort of ties in with this question, so I thought I'd share. She had done a few of the nipple replacement ones on mastectomy patients that others have mentioned, which is really cool, but she had done something sort of equivalent and much less common on a guy. See, he had a lot of vitiligo patches all over his body, and he was darker skinned. It had taken him many years to get over the self-esteem issues that had arisen from this, and he had finally built up enough confidence in his early 30s to start talking to ladies. He was a really charming guy, and after a few false starts, had met a lady who he really liked, and the feeling was mutual. They had been dating for a few months, and things were getting pretty serious. He really thought this was his soulmate, his happy ever after. There was just one problem. The very worst of his vitiligo was over his groin. He'd never had anyone but a doctor see it, and he was terrified that this woman he wanted to marry would reject him when she saw it. So my tattoo artist spent a couple of months painstakingly and painfully filling in all these vitiligo patches all over his crotch, over his balls, his penis. Nothing at all fancy, just literally very carefully coloring in all the white until it matched the rest of his skin, and you had to look really closely to even tell. Took an ungodly amount of time, because, well, obviously he could only handle very short bursts. But when it was finally done, he cried and cried and cried. She got an invitation to his wedding about 8 months later. Said it was the most amazing feeling she had ever got from tattooing anyone, seeing the difference it made to him. What's the most wholesome experience you've had with a stranger? I was in Paris a few years ago with my sister, and we had an early flight. We had been taking the metro the whole trip, and felt comfortable with taking it to the airport in the morning. We left ridiculously early, got on the first line, rode to where we needed to swap lines, did so, went a few more stops, and the metro just stopped. An announcement came on, everyone cleared off, and we got off, assuming there was either an issue or something we didn't understand. We go up into the station, which we realized was Gare du Nord, and the station is packed. People are running around, screaming, total chaos. I have my train ticket in my hand, and Google directions to the airport pulled up on my phone, and I started scanning the lobby for someone that my gut says, kind eyes, might work here, deaf not going to get you murdered. I see a young man wearing a construction vest, just standing around, not contributing to the chaos, and I approached him, asked if he spoke English. No, but between the 2 items I've presented to him, he gestures for us to follow him. We go up an elevator, then back down a few different corridors, and he leads us to a train and gets on, gesturing for us to follow him. We stand on the train for maybe 10 minutes, then another announcement, and everyone clears out. Again, he gestures for us to follow him, and we get on another train. This one clearly shows that it's going to CDG, which he points out to me a few times. People keep packing into the train. He takes a somewhat protective position behind me and my sister. Time for the doors to close now. This takes several minutes as the train is overflowing with people and women are screaming as we somehow pack everyone in and get the doors shut. Several times I look back at this guy and ask, okay? And he answers, okay, every time. time. Finally, the train gets going, folks are getting off at various stops, and we're able to get a little space again. He eventually gets off, again, pointing to the map, indicating we were headed towards CDG. I keep thanking him over and over. We get to CDG and make our flights. Turns out it was a workers' strike that caused all the chaos on the metro. Truly a terrifying experience, and I have no idea why the guy helped us out, but we would have never made it to the airport in time if he hadn't.
Thanks for watching all the way through the video. If you made it to this point without crying, make sure to comment, "I am made of steel," to show how strong you are in the comments. And finally, if you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for future videos.